Look, thanks very much for the opportunity to come along this morning. I think it's fantastic. I've got 10 minutes, have I? So
You sure do.
yeah. Look, this is a very important issue to rural MPs in particular. So my electorate, for those of you who aren't familiar, goes from D'Urville Island, includes all of the Marlborough Sounds, all the way down to the Ashley River and over to the main divide. So Hamner Springs, Amberley are all inside my electorate, Kaikoura. It crosses 4 councils, the Marlborough District Council, which is a unitary authority, Kaikoura Council, Huranui Council, and part of the Waimakariri. So, and ECAN covers the last 3. So it's a big area, and it's got, to put it in perspective, it's over 21,000 square kilometres, which is 20 square kilometres bigger than Israel. But we do have better relations with our neighbours. So look, when I'm a newly elected MP in 2014, the most common thing people came to see me about was connectivity. So it was mostly broadband, actually, far more important to people than it was around mobile phone coverage. They loved mobile phone coverage as well, but if they had internet, that was their top of their wish list. So that all changed on November the 14th of last year, of course, with the earthquake coming along, but that is still very high on the list of priorities. And I think the earthquake highlighted a number of issues for us as well, and not the least with the truck hitting the Wye Bridge over the weekend and taking the fibre optic cable out. It sort of emphasises, in my view, that we need to get a much higher level of redundancy around that backhaul, which I'm sure you're all. I'm not going to teach you how to suck eggs, mainly because I don't really know a lot about it. But it is really key to having any internet providing connectivity around New Zealand, is having that robustness and our redundancy around backhaul. And so that cable was there was a lot of talk on the internet about how the world was over for a lot of people after that in social media. So it really does impact on people. They notice, and it was on a Sunday. So it's a big issue. So it also highlighted in our area in Marlborough, there's a lot of fibre optic cables all go through about the same area, the same place. So that's a risk. It's a risk for us. It's a risk for the whole of the South Island because they all practically go through Marlborough in one small area. So that needs to be thought about. The other day, last Thursday, I was on the northern part of the State Highway 1 north of Kaikoura, just north of Ohau Point, and that is, of course, where the highway is being reinstated. The fibre optic cable was running along on top of the ground there while they're reinstating the road, but the seals have decided they quite like to chew on it. So it's now being held up by sticks of driftwood and other things. It's a good number 8 story to keep it up out of the road. It's a pretty robust piece of equipment, but it's keeping the South Island going, and it runs up on top of the scrub, up over a ridge and around the back of the road corridor to keep it out of the road while the road's being reinstated. So, I mean, most people don't realise how tenuous that particular connection is. After the earthquake, or during the earthquake in Kaikoura, there's a bridge across Lowell Creek, which was really badly damaged, and alongside that bridge is a galvanised pipe that runs along. I'm not sure whether the pipe's holding the bridge up or the bridge is holding the pipe up now, but the Aqualink cable goes through that pipe. So it was very close to being taken out right there as well. So that was a significant challenge for us. What kept the internet going for people and connectivity going were the local WISPs that have the cell phone towers very quickly ran out of backup fuel. There was no connectivity, and I can tell you, standing outside the Kaikoura Hospital where there was a free Wi-Fi hotspot, which a Murinet, which is a local provider from Culverton, they had a good system going there, and there were hundreds of people who were keeping in touch with their family, mostly tourists, on the other side of the world, thanks to a Murinet and their robust systems. And I know their biggest challenge often is just to go up and fly up on top of hills and clear snow off solar panels. But that group were able to keep that connectivity going in Kaikoura. So it was a magnificent effort. And it's very interesting to note how quickly things broke down when there was no FPOS and the cash machines didn't have any connectivity, any fibre links, so they were down. And I went into a dairy a few days afterwards, and I bought some water. There was lots of water around, but I thought I'd give him some bit of business. And he had run out of the old manual credit card imprinting sheets. That's what it was, that or cash. And he ran out of those, so it was just cash, and it was all he could do. He was selling all the stock he had. So it's quite amazing how we've become a cashless society so quickly, but it's very dependent on a good connectivity, and particularly in those areas, I think. Our rural communities rely on connectivity, and if that digital divide really cannot be allowed to grow, or those communities will wither and die, and we can't allow that to happen. And I was very pleased in the local community up the Waihopai Valley, sort of a coalition between Creative, which are here today, and the Marlborough District Council. They put in a pilot program up in the Waihopai Valley. And the challenge for us now is to get up into these sorts of environments. Waihopai Valley is a very windy, narrow gully valley that goes up up off the Wairau Valley. And small communities up there have no connectivity and no hope of getting connectivity through the normal means. It's a long way from anywhere else. It wouldn't make any sense to run a fibre optic cable up there, economic sense anyway, and nor would it make any sense to put an expensive cell phone tower up there, or towers. One tower wouldn't do it. I don't believe 2 towers would do it. You're probably looking at multiple numbers, but I was very pleased to be on the top of Big Hill when it was switched on, and the difference it made to those people's lives, so that they can do simple things like internet banking, and that their children can do what other children do, and that is their homework, which is often done online. But also, I think that where the real digital divide comes in, so that they have access to the tools that their classmates do. And I think that's really important, or otherwise people won't live in those areas, and yet New Zealand depends on that. I think I want to turn now to the opportunity for us going forward. In my electorate in the Marlborough Sounds, 2/3 of New Zealand's aquaculture is actually produced there. And one of the great issues that we have to deal with is having timely, real-time reporting of environmental parameters for that industry and other industries indeed. And there's no way that we could do that by putting cell phone towers out there. There are mobile phone towers, there is some mobile phone coverage out there, but to simply go out and build a $500,000 tower for a few local residents and passing boaties simply doesn't make economic sense. So I think that really the time of the WISPs is here. I think the difficult geography that we have in New Zealand really lends itself to multiple nodes or towers, whatever you like to call them, but not at the very expensive, large end of the market, but at the very small end, so that we can get that coverage right around New Zealand. We need it not only for the standard of living that people want to have and not being subject to the digital divide, but for environmental recording parameters and requirements that we need to do a good job. The aquacultural farmers, they all want it. So they're very keen to have that process. A lot of the measurements now are done manually. Somebody going around in a boat, taking water samples, doing all those other things that and it's not just around aquaculture either. It's also the forestry, the little streams that flow into the sea and flow into rivers. It's good to nail down where the pollution's coming from, if there isn't pollution, where the water quality issues are. And I know Ian Proudfoot's going to be speaking later and after us, I believe. I'm looking forward to hearing from him, because I think he really is at the forefront of understanding where we've got to go in the near future and the medium future for New Zealand. And agriculture, if it's to survive and thrive, it needs to be able to take advantage of the latest tools that are available. So look, I think I'll leave it there. I'm sure we've got some questions coming. And yeah, I'm sorry I got your name wrong, but never mind.